Picture this, it's ancient Rome circa 509 BCE, and the air is crackling with revolutionary fervor as the Romans kick out their Etruscan overlords and declare themselves a republic, which is a political powder keg just waiting to explode. Rise of the Republic to the first emperor, Julius Caesar. Fast forward a few centuries and Julius Caesar struts onto the scene. In 49 BCE, Rome is all set for civil war again, and this time it's General Julius Caesar. This guy's got it all: charisma, ambition, and a killer military resume. He was about to face off against both the Senate and his former friend and political partner, Pompey. But poor Pompey, he was assassinated on the orders of Pharaoh Ptolemy XIII, who hoped to win a favor from Caesar and become buddies. Instead, a fateful meeting between Ptolemy's sister, the infamous Cleopatra, and Caesar led to the even more infamous love affair and the pharaoh's death. But back in Rome, Caesar's merciful treatment of his opponents had only increased his heroic status. The Senate declared him an absolute ruler for 10 years, but Caesar overextended his powers, and in an ultimate power move, made himself dictator for life in 44 BCE. But this power move would soon be his last and only move, as it was a direct ticket to his death, as his Senate thought his dictatorship was a threat to the idea of a Roman republic. As they say, all good things must come to an end, and for Julius Caesar, that end comes in a form of a bunch of senators armed with daggers. Yup, you guessed it, the infamous Ides of March, where he got stabbed to death by some 40 senators on the floor of the government building after a state conspiracy. Worst of all, initiated by none other than his closest friend Brutus. Well, there he goes, only emperor from 46 to 44 BC. Augustus to Nero, the Julio-Claudian dynasty. But following the demise of Caesar, the so-called liberators of the Republic faced the wrath of Romans. Civil war eventually erupted again, this time involving Caesar's trusted friend, General Mark Antony. Mark Antony's lover, Cleopatra, and Caesar's nephew and soon-to-be heir, Octavian. Rome is still recovering from the chaos of Caesar's assassination, and along comes Octavian, earning himself the fancy title of Augustus in 27 BCE. Augustus is no ordinary autocrat. Nope, he's a master of political finesse, spinning his newfound power into a golden age known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. Under his rule, the empire flourished, with stability, prosperity, and even a few public works projects thrown in for good measure. Talk about a glow-up for Rome. But as they say, all good things must come to an end, because he died of natural causes in 14 CE, and Augustus's successors are a mixed bag, to say the least. First up, we've got Tiberius, Augustus's stepson, whose personality is ice cold and has a case of paranoia. He ruled from 14 CE to 37 CE when he exiled himself due to lack of political judgment and died soon after. And then there's Caligula. Where do we even begin with this guy? Picture a spoiled brat with a crown, and you're halfway there. Indulging in everything from lavish parties to downright sadistic behavior. His reign makes Game of Thrones look like a tea party. His time lasted from 37 CE to 41 CE, up until, well, his and his wife's assassination. But wait, it gets even crazier. Enter Nero. This dude's probably one of the most evil ones, complete with a flair for the dramatic and a taste for the finer things in life. But behind the glitz and glamour lies a dark side. Nero's reign from 54 CE to 68 CE is marked by tyranny, oppression, and the complete destruction of the Roman economy. From executing his own mother to blaming Christians for the Great Fire of Rome, Nero's antics make Caligula look like a saint. But even he can't escape the inevitable. His reign ends in revolt and suicide, leaving Rome and the Julio-Claudian dynasty in ruins. The Good Five, Pax Romana continues. Just when it seems like Rome is teetering on the brink of collapse, along comes the 5 good emperors to restore order and prosperity. These enlightened rulers prioritize the welfare of their subjects and uphold the ideals of justice and benevolence, ushering in a golden age of peace and prosperity. Nerva and Trajan, the wise old owl and conqueror of worlds. Along comes Nerva, the granddaddy of them all. He's like that wise old owl perched in the Senate, surveying the chaos, bringing stability back to Rome, and he kicks things off by adopting Trajan as his successor. Talk about planning ahead. Sure, Nerva's reign might be short, only from 96 to 98 CE, because he died soon due to natural causes. But his legacy lives on in the form of the Nervan Antonine dynasty. Next up, we've got Trajan, Rome's very own Alexander the Great. From conquering Dacia to expanding Rome's borders to their furthest reaches, Trajan's all about making Rome great again. Sound familiar? But here's the thing about Trajan, he's not just a conqueror, he's also a builder. Under his rule, Rome sees a construction boom like never before, with monuments, roads, and aqueducts popping up left and right. His rule lasted from 98 CE to 117 CE, and he too died like his adopted dad, from natural causes. Hadrian, the Philosopher King. This dude's like the Socrates of Rome, a philosopher with a knack for diplomacy. Instead of expanding the empire in his reign from 117 CE to 138 CE, Hadrian's all about consolidation, drawing a line in the sand and saying, "this far and no further." But don't let his love of philosophy fool you. He's a shrewd politician and a master of statecraft, keeping Rome's enemies at bay while fostering peace and prosperity at home. Plus, he builds one heck of a wall up in Britain. Talk about border security. Antoninus Pius, the benevolent bureaucrat. Enter Antoninus Pius, Rome's resident bureaucrat with a heart of gold. This guy's all about keeping the wheels of government turning smoothly, and he does it with a smile on his face. Under Antoninus's rule, Rome enjoys a period of unprecedented stability and prosperity. He's like the CEO of Rome Inc., making sure everything runs like a well-oiled machine from 138 CE to 161 CE. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher. Last but not least, we've got Marcus Aurelius, Rome's very own philosopher king. This guy was the poster child for Stoicism, with a calm demeanor and a mind like a steel trap. But Marcus is a warrior at heart, leading Rome's legions into battle against barbarian hordes and internal dissent. But it's not just his military prowess that makes Marcus a great emperor, it's his commitment to justice, virtue, and the well-being of his subjects. Under his rule from 161 CE to 180 CE, Rome reached the pinnacle of its power and influence, ushering in a golden age that will be remembered for centuries to come. Marcus Aurelius too, just like the four before him, died of natural causes. Maybe it's their karma that was stopping gruesome deaths. The 3rd century crisis and decline. Maximinus Thrax, the soldier emperor. First up on 3rd century chaos is Maximinus Thrax, Rome's very own Hercules. This guy's all muscle and no brains. With a background as a humble Thracian peasant turned soldier, Maximinus rises to power on the strength of his muscles and the edge of his sword. Maximinus may be a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield, but his heavy-handed tactics and disregard for Roman traditions make him enemies faster than he can say Vini Vidi Vici. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for old Maximinus, because his rule lasts from 235 CE to 238 CE, and he ends up being assassinated. So, Gordian III, the boy emperor, and Decius, the persecutor. Next up, we've got Gordian III, Rome's very own boy wonder. At just 13 years old, Gordian finds himself thrust into the spotlight as emperor. With advisors pulling the strings behind the scenes and enemies lurking around every corner, Gordian's reign from 238 CE to 244 CE is like a high-stakes game of political chess. But despite his youth and inexperience, Gordian's got guts and was determined to prove that age is just a number when it comes to ruling Rome. Perhaps it was these guts that got him assassinated. Decius, on the other hand, was Rome's resident persecutor-in-chief, stealing the freedom of religion, launching one heck of a crackdown on Christianity, rounding up all the believers. But he's fighting a losing battle. Christianity may be underground for now, but it's like a weed that just won't quit, no matter how many times you pull it up by the roots. Spoiler alert, Decius's reign ends about as well as you'd expect for a guy who picks a fight with the Almighty. His reign was from 249 CE to 251 CE and died in battle against the Goths. Constantine the Great, Rise of Christianity and the Byzantine Empire. Let's get ready to meet one of the most influential figures in Roman history, Constantine the Great. Rome is on the brink of collapse, but in the midst of all the turmoil, along comes Constantine, about to change the course of history forever. Here's where things get really interesting: Constantine's conversion to Christianity. Legend has it that on the eve of battle, Constantine has a vision of a cross in the sky, accompanied by the words, "In hoc signo vinces," "In this sign you will conquer." Taking it as a sign from the heavens, Constantine embraces Christianity with open arms, forever changing the course of Roman history. But let's not kid ourselves. Constantine's conversion isn't just about piety and devotion. It's also a savvy political move, designed to win over the hearts and minds of his subjects and solidify his grip on power. And boy, does it work. Before you know it, Christianity is spreading like wildfire throughout the empire, transforming Rome from a pagan powerhouse into a Christian stronghold. But Constantine's not content to rest on his laurels. Oh no, he's got bigger plans, like found a whole new capital kind of plans. And thus, Constantinople is born, a shining city on the shores of the Bosporus, destined to become the jewel of the Byzantine Empire. Constantinople is like Rome 2.0, bigger, better, and built to last. It becomes the beating heart of the Byzantine Empire, a bastion of culture, commerce, and Christianity in a world plagued by uncertainty. By embracing Christianity and laying the foundations for the Byzantine Empire, Constantine ushers in a new era of Roman history. Constantine the Great's rule lasted from 306 CE to 337 CE, and eventually he died of natural causes. The fall of Rome, barbarian invasions, and the end of an era. It's the dawn of the 5th century, and Rome is under siege. Barbarian tribes like the Visigoths, Vandals, and Huns are descending upon the empire like a swarm of locusts, pillaging and plundering everything in their path. Cities are sacked, farmland is laid to waste, and chaos reigns supreme as the barbarian onslaught gathers steam. Emperors come and go in rapid succession, each one more hapless than the last. Take Romulus Augustulus, for example. The poor guy is basically a puppet emperor with barbarian warlords pulling the strings behind the scenes. He's got about as much power as a toddler in a toy store, and it's only a matter of time before Rome's last vestiges of authority crumble to dust. But wait, it gets worse. In 476 CE, the unthinkable happens. The Western Roman Empire collapsed like a house of cards, bringing an end to centuries of Roman rule. In 410, when the city of Rome was sacked by the Visigoths, a wandering nation of Germanic peoples from the northeast. And literally, just like that, the fall of Rome was completed in 476, when the German chieftain Odoacer deposed the last Roman emperor of the West, Romulus Augustulus. The East continued as the Byzantine Empire through the European Middle Ages, finally collapsing under the might of the Ottoman Turks in 1453. And after almost a millennium, the once mighty Roman Empire had come to an end. Quite sad if you think about the height of their power once.